Well, according to Chris Rea, as he is driving home for Christmas, on his way from Middlesbrough, his way to Middlesbrough from London in his wife's Austin Mini, it was a journey of 1,000 memories. And I expect that many of us will have lots of Christmas memories, lots of memories of Christmas past. For me, one of my Christmas memories involves having to sleep on a Z bed in my dad's study. Because my gran, she used to come and stay with us at Christmas, for a couple of weeks, and she would get my bedroom, which meant I had to go elsewhere. And for a few years, I went into my sister's room, and there was various beds and bunk beds in there. I don't think that went particularly well for anyone involved, because it was decided that it would be better if I was on my own squeezed into my dad's study. And in my dad's study, there was a bookcase with a whole collection of green-bound Charles Dickens novels. And one of my Christmas memories is being tucked away in the spare room, out of the way of everyone else, reading A Christmas Carol. Now, for those of you who might think that that's a strange Christmas memory, you need to remember that I'm a very high introvert. Christmas is also a time of traditions. And for some of you, it might have been the first year after you got married that you realised that not everyone celebrates Christmas the same way that you do. You'd always opened your presents first thing in the morning. But you know that you then discover that there are families who don't open their presents until after lunch. Or even worse, after the Queen's speech. And then there's the question of, well, which parents do we go to on Christmas Day? And so you have to compromise, and you start making new traditions. And memories and traditions are just two of the things that make Christmas such a special time for so many of us. So, and this is your chance to get texting and typing, those of you, where's my phone gone? So what are some of the things? You have to be quick, and you have to be watching live. If you're 5 minutes behind, don't bother. So, what are some of the traditions and what are some of the things that make Christmas special for you? Presents? The Queen's speech? Eliana? Presents? Bread sauce? Mary, are you? Family. I'm just checking my... No one's commenting from out there.
Bread sauce.
Yes, that's what your wife said. We have a message. We have a message from WhatsApp, so it's not just the YouTube chat. Oh, it's gone. It was from Sue. What did she say? The Snowman film. Lots of people agree with you, Sue. And now I've lost YouTube. Right. So lots of things that make spending it with family. We've got a comment from Santa in the morning, presents after a walk after lunch. That was from Amanda. Lots of patience in that house. Turkey and board games. Pork pie and champagne for breakfast. So lots of things that make Christmas special for us. But often, for us, it's the people that we're able to spend Christmas with that makes it special. And that's why last Christmas was so hard for so many people, because we weren't able to spend this special time of year with the people that we would normally do. Yes, we could meet together on Zoom, but opening presents on Zoom wasn't quite the same. And we're going to be thinking about this a little bit more in a few minutes. But one of the Christmas traditions, of course, is that we come together and we sing carols. And so we're going to do that now. We're going to stand and we're going to sing our next carol, which is Silent Night.
I don't need 12 long days of Christmas. I don't want that holly jolly cheer. I don't need 12 long days of Christmas. I just need your Christmas presents here. Silver bells ringing out in Christmas joy. I don't need snow blanketing the ground. I don't need to deck the halls with boughs of anything. I just need your Christmas presents here. I don't hear angel choir singing. I don't see sleighs with 9 reindeer. I don't hear angel choir singing. I just need your Christmas presents here. I don't see those sugar plums dancing in the children's hands. I don't feel the spell of a holy night. I don't wish for stockings hung with tenderness and care. I just need your Christmas presents here. I don't need this day to be the best one of the year. I just need your Christmas spirit here.
There were a lot of traditions and maybe even some memories tied up in the words of that song, as well as some of the expectations and the pressures that often surround what a perfect Christmas is supposed to look like. So we were told that I don't need 12 long days of Christmas, or silver bells ringing out in Christmas joy, or snow blanketing the ground. It's just as well, living here in Cambridgeshire. You know, when it comes to snow, I don't think I've ever lived in a more disappointing place. But also I don't want that holly jolly cheer. I don't hear angel choirs singing. I don't see sleighs with 9 reindeer. I don't feel the spell of a holy night. I don't need this day to be the best one of the year. I just need your Christmas presents here. I just need your Christmas spirit here. Now, that video was filmed during the summer on one of the hottest days of the year. It was also a time when it looked as if the worst of the pandemic was behind us, and that this Christmas was going to be much more normal. But of course, that's not quite how things are turning out, and we're still not at Christmas yet. This evening, we've got a split congregation. We've got fewer people here in the building. We've got more people than normal watching us from home. If you've got plans to spend time with family over Christmas, then you're hoping that no one tests positive between now and the 25th. And then there's talk of the need to tighten restrictions, but is that going to happen before or after Christmas Day? Many of us will have already changed or cancelled plans to meet up with friends and family over these next few days. And the last minute cancellation of Christmas plans, especially when those plans involve meeting someone that you've not seen for a really long time. That's a really hard and great disappointment to have to cancel those things. And the prospect of moving into the new year with the introduction of new restrictions and the memories of the isolation of last year, that may well send a shiver down your spine. But at the heart of the Christmas story, we discover that God enters into our darkness. God enters into our mess, into our loneliness, into our anxiety, into our fear, into our uncertainty. God enters into our world where things seem to go from bad to worse. God enters into our world and promises to be Emmanuel, God with us. And because of his presence, because of his Spirit, even if our Christmas plans do have to change, we can still know peace and we can still know joy this Christmas time. Joy to the world. So earlier on in our service, we lit the candle representing joy. And in previous weeks, we've lit hope and peace and love. And I think along with hope and peace, you could argue that there's not a lot of joy around at the moment. Those things that we so often rely on for joy, particularly at this time of year, they've either already been taken away or there is a real threat that they will be taken away. But the angels told the shepherds that this birth, the birth of this baby, the birth of a Saviour, this was good news of great joy for all people. I've already mentioned that one of my Christmas memories involved reading a Christmas carol. And generally speaking, most people, when they read a book, they start at the beginning and they read a page at a time until they get to the end. And hopefully it all makes sense. And whilst I wouldn't necessarily encourage someone who was coming to the Bible for the first time to approach the Bible that way, start at page 1 and read right through to the end, Christmas, when you read the Christmas story on its own, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Why did they need a Saviour? And how would they be saved? The Christmas story only takes up a few pages in Matthew and a few pages in Luke's Gospel. Mark and John don't even mention it. And Christmas makes no sense without Easter. And Easter makes no sense without the beginning of the story. And it's very difficult to make sense of where we are now without the end of the story. If the last few years have taught us anything at all, it's taught us that we don't do well in isolation. Fortunately, we've had technology to help us stay connected and have some level of contact, but it's not been the same as meeting people face to face and having that physical contact and being able to give somebody a hug. And that's because we're not created for isolation. And I even say that as an introvert. We are not created for isolation. We're not created to be isolated from each other, and we weren't created to be isolated from God. And that's the way the story starts on the first few pages of the Bible. But by page 3 of the Bible story, we discover that human beings think they know better than God. The creation thinks it knows better than the Creator. And the Bible calls that attitude sin. An insistence that I know best. We're going to do this my way. It's my life, and I am going to be in control of it. And we turned our backs on God, and we walked away whistling, I did it my way. And the consequence was separation, isolation from God. And that's page 3 of the Bible story. You may be aware that there is a new Spider-Man film out. And it's always interesting to hear people who are being interviewed about a new film, especially when they want to talk about how great it is, but they're obviously under very strict instructions not to give away any details that will spoil it for those who've not seen it yet. But this is a spoiler alert. But not a Spider-Man spoiler alert. This is a spoiler alert about the story that we find in the Bible. So on page 3, we have people isolated from God and all the other consequences that sin brings. But by the end of the story, by the final couple of pages, we find that broken relationship has been perfectly restored. And the good news of great joy for all people is that this baby we call Jesus, he was going to be the way that God was going to fix the problem of this broken relationship, of this isolation of sin. Jesus was God's gift to the world. The baby grew up and became a man. He did the things and he said the things that we read about in the Gospels. But the love that God had for the world didn't end there. It extended as far as the cross, where Jesus died, dealing with the consequences of our sin and rebellion, paying the price for my choice to live my life my way, and making it possible to experience forgiveness and peace and a renewed relationship with God. Making it possible to experience God's Christmas presence here, not just at Christmas, but to experience Emmanuel, God with us, throughout the whole of the year. To know that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will never be able to put it out. This is God's gift to us at Christmas. But just like any gift, we have to accept it. If we leave it to one side, unopened, unwrapped, then we never benefit from what's on the inside. And we receive this gift that God offers by saying sorry that I wanted to live life my way, and choosing to turn around and decide that from now on I'm going to try to live life God's way, and I'm going to pledge my allegiance to Jesus above all else.